because I want you to understand, I want you to separate the idea or the concept of communion, the convolution of communion, or this celebration of Passover that they call communion, or this celebration of the Lord's Supper that they try to call communion. I want you to separate that from this ritual that's been bombarding you, okay? I want you to understand this is not about the ritual at all. So that's why I'm replacing these words with what they really mean, so that you can get an idea of what this is really talking about. Verse 25, let's read it again. After the same manner, just as he took the bread and broke it, that whole this is, the same way he did that, this is, also he took the cup when he had supped, meaning when he had dined, and he said this is the cup. This cup is the New Testament, meaning the new agreement in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me. What is this as oft? As many times as you drink it. What does this word drink mean? It's figurative. It means to absorb or assimilate, okay? As many times as you absorb this or assimilate this. This is what you're accepting in your mind, what you absorb and what you're assimilating. Do it in remembrance of me. This is not about bread and wine, okay? Not at all. What is this blood? The blood is justification. It's your sanctification. It's your deliverance. No more are you under the old agreement through use of animals to atone for sin. He is the sacrifice that is made once and for all. His shed blood frees us from sin. The new agreement is made simple now. It's called love. You understand? Justification. What is justification? It's to declare or make righteous in the Father's sight. What is sanctification? It's to free from sin. It's to purify. And that's what that blood was about. What is deliverance? It's the action of being rescued or set free. That's what this blood was about. It was about justification. It was about sanctification. It was about deliverance. So when you read this, I want you to remember that the blood represented justification, sanctification, and deliverance. Okay? Now let's go back and make sure that we are clear on what a testament is. Because as I was saying before, a lot of people think that when you say testament, you're thinking of this division in the Bible, the New and then the Old Testaments. That's not what this is about. This cup is the New Testament. That's what he said, right? This word testament is the atheke, a disposition, a contract, okay? It's a will. The dictionary definition defines this testament as a law or the action of distributing or transferring property to someone in particular by or through a will. And everybody knows what a will is. You know, it's that thing that your family argues about every time somebody dies and everybody's half killing each other over. That's what I'm talking about, because somebody's getting a transfer. And so everybody's trying to vie for position, right? So we have two contracts here that we're talking about. We are talking about the old contract, the old agreement known as the Old Testament. And we have this New Testament, this new agreement, this new contract. Okay, now it's funny to me how the secular dictionary can get this right, yet men who say they are of God can't seem to get it right at all. This is what the dictionary defines the Old Covenant as. It says that it's Christian theology, and what it covers is the covenant between God and Israel in the Old Testament. Did you see that? The Old Testament was all the laws that were put in place to keep order. You understand? The dictionary got this right. It says the old covenant, that was the covenant between, or the agreement between God and Israel. Did you hear that? I was baffled when I saw this dictionary definition, because I thought surely they have already tainted this definition in the dictionary, because they have to cover all their tracks. The funny thing about the Word of God and words, period, is that people cannot cover every track. You know, they can try to cover tracks, but they can't cover it all, so they miss things. But it's powerful here. It's a covenant between God and Israel. That's what the Old Testament is. Okay, it was a law. It was a schoolmaster. It's an illustration for us. It is a schoolmaster for us. We learn from that. Okay, but it was a law or a covenant or an agreement between God and Israel, not God and us today. Okay. Laws written on tablets was what was back then in the Old Testament, something outside of man. It's the physical tablet, okay? Then you go to the Ark of the Covenant. That's where the law was put. Those tablets were put. Now understand, the first set of tablets were broken. Moses broke those in his anger. He broke those. But after it's rewritten, after these tablets are restored, after Yahweh rewrites these tablets on new stone, there comes a point in time where this tablet of stone goes into an Ark of the Covenant. a wooden chest, as it were, okay, to keep it or to protect it, okay, to protect this agreement or to protect this commandment. Also then later placed in the temple, also known as Solomon's temple, okay? So the old agreement meant sacrificing of animals to atone for sin. So you get this unspotted lamb, unblemished, right? You'd sacrifice it. Well, the priest would sacrifice it, and the blood atoned for the sin of men, okay? Hebrews 9 describes this. It says, in Hebrews 9, verse 7, but into the second tabernacle went the high priest alone once every year, not without blood, which he offered for himself and for the errors of the people. So this is the old agreement. This is what went down. That's why it was the old agreement, and it was the agreement between Yahweh and Israel. See, today we don't do any of this. So this agreement is not between us and him. All right? Just want to make that clear. Now let's talk about the new covenant. The new covenant dictionary definition is this. It's the covenant between Yahweh and the followers of Yeshua. Did you hear that? It's the covenant between Yahweh and the followers of Yeshua, the Messiah. Okay? So the New Testament is made simple and summed up into this one word called love. We don't have the same agreement that they had in the Old Testament. We have a new agreement. And that new agreement was made through the blood of Messiah. Okay? So no need for stone tablets anymore. No need for containers that are made with men's hands or man-made temples. We don't need any of that to house the agreement. The covenant, the agreement is now written inside of us. Our chest is the container which now holds the agreement. He said this, I will write my laws on the tables of their hearts. I'll write them in their minds. He declared that we'd have a fleshly chest now to contain the covenant, the agreement now. So there are no excuses for ignorance of who he is, okay? The Father is clearly seen in all of creation. You'll know this in Romans chapter 1 and 2. You'll see that there is no excuse for people acting like they don't know who he is. Everything you see, you look around, you look at the flowers, you look at the sky, you look at everything around you. He is clearly seen. His glory is clearly seen in everything in nature, okay? And there is no need that a man teach you. What does this mean? Everybody knows right from wrong. Nobody has to teach you what the difference is between right and wrong. So we don't need it on a sheet of paper. It's on the inside of us. That's why babies know when they make a boo-boo, they know, they start crying immediately because they even know the difference between right and wrong. The old covenant is not for us. The Ark of the Covenant, the stone tablets were broken the first time. Remember, the temples were built by men and susceptible to not withstand damage, okay? But the physical items which held the agreement were temporal, but man won't break as does a box. See, we were made with the hands of the Father, okay? So let's go to verse 26. For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Lord's death till he come. Now, what does this mean here? For as often as ye eat this bread, what is this bread? It's the ransom. As often as ye accept this ransom and drink this cup, what is this cup? It's the responsibility, it's the fate, it's the lot of what the Messiah had to endure. Ye do show. What does this word show mean? It means to proclaim, to declare, to preach, to speak of, to teach. You teach the Lord's death till he come. Now, this is declaring, this is preaching, this is speaking and teaching. It all involves you communicating verbally. This is not about eating bread and drinking wine. This is a verbal communication of the Lord's death till he come. Okay, this is eating or accepting the ransom. That's what this eating the bread is about. It's accepting the ransom. Every time you accept the ransom, you eat the bread and live up to the responsibility of accepting the Father's will over your own. You minister to others the death of the Messiah. Do you understand that? That's what that verse is talking about. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Lord's death till he come. What does that mean? Every time you accept the ransom, you eat the bread and live up to the responsibility, accepting the Father's will over your own will, you are ministering the Messiah's death.